Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we have to talk about how overall dealership revenue is continuing to decline. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's dive into it. So if you've been following the car market for the last few years, then you know that dealerships showed record profits over the course of the pandemic, but those record profits are now in the past, especially when it comes to sales revenue, right? The amount of money that dealerships make off of the sale of vehicles. I mean, you look at things from the peak compared to now, and it is a huge difference because what has happened is obviously as car prices have come down from the peak with both new cars and used cars, those prices have come down at the cost of dealer profits. Dealers can no longer charge over original MSRP on most new vehicles. And in fact, a lot of dealers at this point are now having to charge below invoice on new vehicles because the market has been flooded with new cars because manufacturing has finally picked up. But this is old news at this point. Everyone knows that dealership sales revenue is on the decline and it's going to continue to decline into the future until the car market, fully kind of levels off and quote unquote normalizes. And what I mean by normalizes is we're going to have a car market where you're going to have a certain amount of discount from dealers and a certain discount from automakers, and customers are going to say this is enough, and it's going to be in line with manufacturing, right? Because right now what is happening is cars are being manufactured at a quicker rate than people are buying them because the average consumer feels like the average car is just too expensive in today's market. But we now have a situation where dealerships are now seeing declines in revenue from other sources. So the next area that dealers are now starting to see declines in overall profitability is going to be the service side of things, which is actually quite surprising because with this pullback from people purchasing used cars and new cars, it's actually leading to more people needing to service their vehicles to keep them on the road, because it's like, well, if you're not going to buy a new one, then you got to keep doing things to keep it on the road. But regardless, dealerships are now starting to see, again, their service revenue decline. So month over month, there was a decline of about 9.1% in overall repair volume with dealers. And this comes from Cox Automotive, for those of you wondering. And then year over year, there's a decline of about 6.6%. And this is for last month. This is for the sales month of April. And then if we look at revenue, month over month, it was down by about 0.5%, which, isn't a huge amount, but it is, a downwards trend. Whereas year over year, it's actually up by 5.3%. So year over year, dealers are actually doing better when it comes to service department revenue. And this is actually making up for a lot of the losses that dealers are experiencing on the sales side of things. But again, we are now trending downwards with revenue at the same time that we're trending downwards with overall volume. So what this means is that dealers are seeing fewer customers coming into service departments, right? There's fewer repair orders that they're able to put through. And with these fewer repair orders, they're seeing lower profits in their service departments. Again, it's a small decline as of right now, but if the trend continues, it could obviously turn into a much larger decline. So what does this mean for car dealers as a business? Because again, year over year, most dealers have seen a pretty large decline in their sales revenue, and now they're starting to see the cracks form with their service departments. And so this means that dealerships as a business are losing profitability. And this is something that you don't want to see as a business. So what's this going to do? Well, first off, when it comes to the sales side of things, like I said, it's going to take time for that market to kind of figure itself out. But what it looks like is happening is obviously dealers are discounting vehicles a massive amount, and a lot of dealers are starting to focus on volume yet again. This is what the focus was prior to the pandemic, is just having the lowest prices to attract the customers. So then that customer is basically a swing for the dealership to sell accessories and warranties, and hopefully that customer also services their vehicle at the dealership, right? they try to basically make money off of the customer in other forms, outside of the vehicle itself. So that's what's happening on that side of things. When it comes to the service department side of things, what I'm starting to see is dealerships are actually starting to advertise their service departments again. And this is something that hasn't happened for quite some time because, again, the big problem with service departments over the course of the last few years was, supply shortages. So dealers had a situation where they had all these vehicles that needed to be serviced and repaired, and they couldn't do it because parts weren't readily available. Well, there are still shortages with certain parts. Again, it's going to depend dealer to dealer, region to region, manufacturer to manufacturer, but supply is definitely improving. And so now dealers are in a situation where they've got to attract customers to now service with them. And so this, frankly, is just going to push dealers to advertise yet again. They're going to advertise, more. And they're not just going to advertise the sales. Now they're going to also advertise the service department, right? They're going to advertise the all-in-one package that they can provide. Like, hey, if you come buy a car from us, you'll get a great deal, and we'll also take care of you on the service side of things. And so what this really means for those of you watching this video, if you aren't a dealer, is, again, this is just the market going towards, quote unquote, normalization, where dealers are going to have to fight with each other to get your business. Again, it's becoming a buyer's market, not only for cars, but also for the servicing of cars. And so it just means that you'll be able to get better and better deals on everything, which, obviously dealers are going to be bitter about this, but I think it's just a win-win for everyone because it means that dealers, don't get free money anymore. And I'm not saying that dealers didn't have to work over the course of the pandemic because, not every single car deal, not every single service situation was easy. People were still having to work very hard. But at the same time, there was just so much money that was pouring into dealerships over the last few years, and it was kind of like a money tap in a sense, and it's like it can only last so long. And once the money tap dries up, it's like, well, if you want stuff to keep rolling in, you've got to work a little bit more for that. So it'll be interesting to see how the industry evolves over the next few years, but I imagine that it's going to be pretty similar to the industry that I worked in prior to the pandemic, where it's like you got to just grind every single day to get customers to come into the dealership to buy from you instead of your competition, and then to obviously, convince those customers to service with you as well after the purchase. Let me know what you guys think about this, and let me know if this is a welcome change. Like, do you like the fact that we are going back into a car market where dealers are having to fight with each other when it comes to, getting you as a customer from the sales side of things with the vehicle, and then also from the service side of things? I'll see ya.